Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Triangle BNI. My name is Mike Manning. Each week, we bring you a success story from Triangle BNI. BNI is the world's largest networking organization. Our little slice of heaven here in central North Carolina, the Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill Triangle, we call it, is Triangle BNI. Have about 30 chapters, almost 700 members. And each week, we want to bring you a story of why you should join BNI. If you have a business you're trying to start or trying to grow, BNI is a great way to do it. And our guest this week is Dr. Ashley McGuire with Whole Family Chiropractic of Cary. Ashley, glad to have you here today.
Thanks for having me today.
So, one of the ways, one of the neat things in a BNI chapter each week is there's a featured speaker, and it's 5 minutes to 10 minutes long, depending on the size of your chapter. And each week, the speaker is introduced with the BNI member bio sheet. So that's how we're going to do that today.
All right,
I
let's
believe
do
this
it.
has been done before.
It has been.
Okay. So Dr. Ashley McGuire,
Mhm.
Whole Family Chiropractic of Cary is the business name, profession, chiropractic.
Chiropractic.
The location, where are you guys?
In Cary, yeah.
Okay.
So we're right on the corner of Northeast Maynard and Harrison.
Okay.
Mhm.
Sounds good. Years in the business for you and the practice.
Right. So I'm personally working on year 3. The practice, I work with 2 other doctors, Dr. Bell and Dr. Sylvester, and they've each been in practice 19 years.
Okay.
hmm
My second favorite question in all this,
All
your
right.
previous types of jobs.
Oh, man, that's a tough one.
Is there a good high school story in there too?
Full-time student. So as you know, chiropractic is a doctoral degree, requires a lot of school. So I have 8 years of full-time education, 4 years of undergrad, and then 4 years of chiropractic school. Before that, I was a waitress, which I honestly think everyone should work in the food service industry or, customer service at some point because I got so many life lessons from that. It was
Yes.
just crazy.
Where were you a waitress?
A lot of places. In college, it was an Italian restaurant, but in high school and then in college, as I came back in the summer, it was a seafood restaurant right on the beach, and that was good money. But like I said, I learned a lot of life lessons in the wait staff industry.
The next section in this bio sheet introduction is personal information. So
Yeah.
tell us about your spouse.
Oh, my spouse, my sweet, sweet spouse. I get so excited when I talk about my spouse because he's awesome. He's my support system. But my husband's name is Corey. We've been married about 7 years and we met in college. So we have a very hallmark cheesy story. It's definitely one for the books. We met in college where Corey was a star football player and I was a cheerleader. If that's not cheesy enough for you, we were also next door neighbors. So it's pretty cheesy.
In college.
In college. Yep.
Okay.
So we lived in the apartments on campus, but we were next door to each other. So our
Okay.
doors were literally, my door was here, his door was, right around the corner right here. So then if you want to add another layer of cheese, we also
Yes.
had the same major.
Oh,
So
really?
we went to class together. We lived next to each other. He was a star football player and I was a cheerleader.
So who was better at their profession, the football player or the cheerleader?
Oh, 2 college athletes. So you're really digging in some
Yeah.
rivalry here.
I know.
I have to say, he holds a couple records at our university, and he got invited to an NFL combine. So
Very
I will
nice.
let him have this one.
Okay. Right.
But we all know that I win in the
Yes,
education
that is
department.
correct.
So
And your favorite subject to talk about is probably your daughter.
it is, yeah. My daughter is, I mean, she's everything. As you'll hear a little bit later in the broadcast, she's the reason I got into chiropractic.
Mhm.
She's 6. She turned 7 in November. So if you ask her, she's 7, but I'm going to hold on to 6 as long as I can.
Yes.
But yeah, she's my sweet girl.
Would you like to show what you brought with you and
Oh.
why you brought with you?
I did. So very well loved. For those of you that have families, you'll understand.
Nope.
But
Yep, there you go.
this is Elmo. Elmo is my daughter's Lovey, and she's in 1st grade. And Elmo still goes with her all the time. He stays in her backpack, but he's her safety zone. And this morning, as I was sharing with her that I was, going to be on the show, she comes up to me as she's leaving the house and brings me Elmo and says, "Mom, take Elmo on the show with you. He'll give you strength and you can do great." So here we are. Here's Elmo live on the show.
Love it. I love those stories.
Yeah.
Any animals?
We do. So animals honestly are one of our passions. We rescue a lot of animals. So I actually have 4, 5 debatable because we have a fish. But we have 2 cats and 2 dogs. All 4 are rescues, and the little one runs the house. Our little dog is a 4-pound Chihuahua. She has an older brother whose name is Clyde, who is a 45-pound Golden Retriever Terrier mix. But like I said, she runs the house, and then we have 2 cats and then a fish.
And everybody gets along.
Everybody gets along. It's like one big happy family.
And your daughter thinks everybody has 2 cats and 2 dogs and a fish, right?
She does. So like I said, we're all animal people. We love having our animals. So everybody gets along.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Hobbies and activities of interest.
My family. We are a tight-knit family. We all work hard. We don't get a ton of time together, so when we do, we spend it together. We are outdoors a lot. We like hiking, biking, walking the dogs, really just, being out in nature. That's our interest.
And your husband is a teacher.
He is. He's a teacher and a coach.
Okay. All right.
So
What subject? What sport?
so he teaches physical education in an elementary level, but he works at a private school where he's blessed to coach football and baseball at a high school level.
Okay.
So he coaches JV football and middle school baseball.
And you're there every game,
I'm
right?
there every
I
game.
like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
City of residence. How long you guys have lived here?
So I live in Cary. We lived in Cary about 2 years, but I'm from Eastern North Carolina.
Yes, and we'll talk about that in a couple
Yeah.
of minutes. Your burning desire is to
Make the world a better place. Yeah. Make the world a better place is my personal desire. In business, my burning desire is to help everyone empower women and families to take control of their health and express their full potential in health.
very good.
Mhm.
Your key to success.
Never give up. Work hard. Sure you've heard that one before,
Yeah, I
but
like that.
that's yeah.
All right. And my favorite question out of all this, and especially a lot of people watching probably don't know you, so this will
Okay.
be new stuff, is something no one knows about you.
All right. So now I promise you this one is going to be unique. All
Okay.
right. So when I was in high school, I went to clown school. So I am a certified professional clown.
What got you to clown school?
Actually, my high school guidance counselor. My parents, when I was a freshman in high school, because we all know that's a fun age, my parents thought it would be a great idea to pull me out of my school and start me at a brand new school. So I spent a lot of time, as nerdy as this sounds, in my high school guidance counselor's office. And she had gotten into clowning through a divorce. It brought her some joy in that divorce. So that's how she got into clowning. And then she shared it with me because it was a little tough to be, I didn't know anyone at the school. So it was tough to be a freshman in a
Mhm.
new school. And clowning was kind of a fun way to express that. So single-handedly started the clown club in high school. I'm sure that really helped my cool factor. But we started the clown club. It gained popularity. And then I got to march around, honestly, all of my county and some surrounding counties, bringing, joy to people. So that was pretty fun.
There is something to be said. I, in a previous life, got to work with some costume characters, and
Mhm.
it gives you the freedom to go and
It
talk
does.
to whoever you want to. It's just a
Yeah.
wonderful thing.
It
Yeah.
is. Yeah. It brings a lot of joy to people. So
Oh, sure. The
it
kids
really
love
does.
seeing you go.
Mhm.
All right.
It's fun.
Couple
So
of parents probably scared of clowns. I'm sure
yeah,
you
so
ran across a
clowning's
couple.
tough because some people have that stereotype, but honestly, my daughter, I think it was maybe about a year ago, she got a balloon animal. As you go to all these things and you get balloon animals here and there, and it took about 30 seconds for this balloon animal dog that she had to come apart. She's in tears in the back seat, like, "Oh no, my dog!" And sure enough, 6 years later, 10 years later, I still have the skills to make her a balloon animal. So that was pretty cool.
And the last time you were dressed up or made up as a clown?
High school, so
Okay.
over 10 years ago now.
All right.
Yeah. So
So
bringing back some old
any
days.
any itch to do that once again?
Oh, I have to say no. It takes about 3 hours to get in full
Oh,
clown makeup. So full, like in a professional clown setting, makeup has to be waterproof because you never know what you're going to endure in the
mhm.
elements and things of that nature. So it takes, yeah, about 3 hours to get full clown makeup on. So I'd do it again if I had a good cause, but I don't. It's not on the wish list.
Wonderful story.
hmm
So tell us about Whole Family Chiropractic, state of it today, how business is,
Yeah.
some things you guys have been doing to grow, all that good stuff.
Right. So thank goodness business is good today. We were out of power yesterday, so wondering how that was going to go, but we're all good to go. Like I said, I've recently joined the practice. I joined in June of 2016. The other two doctors have been there in practice 19 years. Dr. Bell is our owner, and she's been in practice, like I said, almost 20 years, but I believe she's had the business 10. And so we are booming right now. We always have room for growth, but right now we're sitting at a pretty good spot. I would like to grow my clientele, which is part of where BNI comes in. But we're doing pretty good, in all honesty. It's myself, Dr. Bell, Dr. Sylvester, and then we have 2 massage therapists that we have in office. And then we have a back room that gets used for everything from we have a home birth midwife that uses our space. We have high school or homeschool music classes. We have meditation, yoga, all kinds of stuff going on back there. So it's a good, family
Mhm.
environment. It's what we do. We see whole families.
And we'll talk about that in a second.
Mhm.
But if you are interested in more information on Triangle BNI, you can give us a call at 919-465-1667 or send us an email to trianglebni@nissancommunications.com. We can get some information. Steve Hand is the executive director for the Triangle area. and Mary and Brenda are in the office with him. So if you have any questions, please give them a call or shoot them an email. We recommend that you just go visit a chapter, see what it's like, see the
Mhm.
structure of it, see the type of people that are in it, because these are all people looking to grow their business. We're all small business owners or affiliated with a
Definitely.
small business, just trying to grow not only our chapter or our business, but help grow our chapter, because one of the mottos of BNI is givers gain. And once you get in the chapter, you realize I'd like to give more than I get, because you
Absolutely.
know that more is going to come to you the more you give.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep. So, how did you get into chiropractic medicine? Let's start
Oh,
with that.
man, that is a very long story, so hang in there with me. Um, in all honesty, I got into chiropractic medicine because I had my daughter, which, I kinda mentioned earlier,
Mhm.
she's my reason for chiropractic. I had my daughter very young. I was still in college. I was a junior in college, and I still had a year left. I'd been to chiropractors before. Like I said, I was a cheerleader. I got injured. I didn't have a good experience, in all honesty, so it wasn't on the forefront of my mind. My degree is in exercise science and physical education, so coming in my senior year, I had to do an internship. And I was really fortunate that my director of my exercise science program went to church with a chiropractor, and the chiropractor was willing to let me in his office and get started a little bit early into the semester. My daughter was due in November, school was supposed to start at the end of August, and this guy was willing to let me start a little bit early. And that was my first taste of true chiropractic. Like I said, I had had a bad experience before, and that's one of the things about chiropractic is each practitioner is a little bit different. Thankfully, this guy, was amazing. He really showed me that chiropractic could be about more than pain. He showed me that there are a lot of different ways to do it and that each patient is a unique individual, and the way that you practice chiropractic is up to the doctor, but also somewhat depends on the patient and their needs. I would like to say it was a light bulb moment and that all went off, but it really came from my struggles with my pregnancy and my daughter. Um, as I had discovered chiropractic, I had it through my pregnancy. I was like, all right, cool. It worked well for me, but I wasn't sold yet. And I didn't have a lot of support when I was pregnant with my daughter. So I did a lot of research. I'm a researcher. I read all the books in 3 county libraries, in all honesty. Um, Lots of reading, and all the books said, do it this way. This is the way you do it. This is the way you are pregnant. You give birth. Then you breastfeed your baby, and that's how it is. And so that's what I did. And about a week after my daughter was born, we had complications. She ended up in the hospital, and she was in the hospital for about a week. It was a really terrible experience. I was young. I didn't know a lot. In all honesty, I didn't know what I was doing. And through those moments, I learned to trust my gut. I learned to rely on mom gut. Mom gut is a real thing,
It is.
and it is strong.
It
And so
is.
I learned that. And then as I took that experience, I had always wanted to be a medical doctor. Like that was from the time I was probably 2, 3 years old, as long as I can remember, I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to help people. And that's what got me into the medical profession as a whole. But that negative experience showed me that I wanted to change people's personas of birth, of raising children, of families. There had to be another way. And then I remembered my experience that I had with my chiropractic internship, and that just opened the door for me. That got me thinking. That really opened Pandora's box of how to do it. And I learned that there are a lot of ways that we're all powerful individuals, and birth doesn't fit in one single box.
And
So,
I think as we have guests on here, learn about their industries, everybody from real estate to moving to
mhm,
property management, insurance, credit card, all that good stuff, is you think you know a little bit about their industry.
right,
And once you talk to them, you realize,
hmm,
don't know as much as I thought I
right,
did. It would not have, I don't think a lot of people know that chiropractic help can work on infants and can help
absolutely,
infants. I don't think
yeah.
many people realize that's kind of a good place to start, and that can happen. I know you like working with
I
families.
do. Yeah. So chiropractic is very much one of those professions. We have a lot of stereotypes out there,
Yes, you do.
like a lot of stereotypes. So like I said, families are my jam. That's what I love. I became a chiropractor literally to help empower women and families and to let folks know that it's okay. You don't have to follow a single specific model of birth, of parenting, of delivery, of all of those things. So yeah, we focus a lot on children and families. Um, Pregnant mamas usually are the start of families, not that we don't love dads too, because we do. And we do before we get started, let me debunk this. We see people of all ages because a lot of times I love to talk about families and kids and athletes and all of that. You'll hear me really get going on that. And then a common question I get asked is, do you see regular, normal adults?
Yeah.
Yes, we do. But families are where I start because I find that number one, chiropractic isn't a common thought. When mom and dads find out they're pregnant, they're not like,
Yeah.
well, let's go to the chiropractor. But there's a lot of benefits of chiropractic and pregnancy once baby is born and right on up.
What are 3 myths that you need to debunk right here about the
Oh, gosh.
chiropractic industry?
How long do we
I
have?
know. I know. I'm gonna give you 3.
Right? Okay, so top 3. Number 1, is it safe? I hear that all the time. "Oh, no way I would take my kid to a chiropractor. It's not safe." I will say chiropractors enjoy the luxury of having one of the lowest malpractice costs of any medical professional out there. So, quite honestly, my malpractice insurance is cheaper than most folks' car insurance. So that's myth number 1. Myth number 2 is that there's so much twisting and cracking and force with babies. False. Actually, most of my babies sleep through their adjustments, in all honesty. Adjustments are very gentle and specific and focused on babies. There's no twisting, there's no turning, there's no cracking. We use about the same amount of force on a newborn that you would use to dent a ripe tomato. So if you think of a big, ripe, juicy tomato, touching that skin, just making that gentle contact is going to dent that fruit. And that's how babies are. They're not stressed. They don't have a lot of tension. They're not fighting us. Quite honestly, a lot of times their bodies work with us. As we make that specific contact that we need, a lot of times their bodies push into it and do the work. And then let's see, myth number 3 is that, 3 times a week for the rest of your life. That's the one we hear. Oh, once I go to the chiropractor, that's it. I have to go forever, 3 times a week. And quite honestly, that's not true. Like I mentioned, chiropractic is unique to each individual. What we do is help your body function at its best by taking tension off your nervous system. And every patient that walks through the door is going to be unique. Some of them they have a lot of crisis to their spine and they do need to start more frequent. But my goal is to get every patient to that sweet spot where you're only coming in as often as your body requires. For most folks, it's every 4 to 6 weeks. So
one of the neat things in BNI is there are not a lot of chiropractors, so you were
Mhm.
able to go visit other chapters and stuff
Absolutely.
like that. But the ones that I have heard, I always like business people who will talk themselves out of business because most of the chiropractors I've heard in BNI will say, my goal is to get you to the point where you don't have to come back and see me again. Instead of, oh yeah, there's my meal
There's
ticket,
sweet
get a
spot.
new boat.
Right?
3 visits a month, I can get a boat off of you.
Right.
So
See, it's kind of like going to the gym. So that's an analogy that I use a lot. If you go to the gym, it's very well known. You exercise to stay healthy, right? So as you start an exercise program, it takes a little bit of time to get your muscles and your body adapted to that. But then as you get in the groove of your fitness, maintaining that is a lot easier. And that's kind of how spinal care is. People Another common myth is, "Oh, I'm not in pain, so I'm good. My body is good," right? I hear that a lot. Spinal misalignments can happen without any pain, and I'll talk about that probably a little bit later. But my goal is to get folks not only out of pain, but help your spine stabilize and
yeah.
then help you kind of define that sweet spot of your health. And then we're also there to help coach you along and help
Yeah.
you meet other health goals.
On myth number 4, I have a family member, not my wife, but shall go nameless. I love her to death. And,
Right.
oh, I'm feeling fine. I've not gone to my chiropractor in a couple of months. I'm feeling
Hmm.
good. And then all of a sudden we talked to her one day. Oh,
Right.
my back's. It's like you have to
Yeah.
keep,
Yes,
for certain
absolutely.
things, you do have to keep going,
You do,
right?
again, it's kind of like the gym. So when you go to the gym, you don't get to your optimum health and then be like, all right, I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
healthy. I'm not going back. You kind of have to maintain that. And that's, again, I'm not here to get money out of my patients and say, "Oh yeah, I want to see you every month for the rest of your life." But once you begin to take control of that health and you feel healthy and you feel good,
Mhm.
you do want to maintain that. And so there is that aspect of let me help you stay healthy so you don't only come to me when when you've thrown your back out or
Mhm.
whatever they say nowadays. But in all honesty, I'm here for all of my patients. We do have folks, I mean, with any profession, we have folks that come in when they're in pain, and we'll see those people too, of course. We
Oh,
love
yeah.
we love everybody,
Yeah.
but
And
it is easier to stay healthy
and people
than
are at different stages of
yeah,
problems they have when they come
100%.
see you.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
it
So
may be a while. Some
it
people
may
may
be
need to see you for a while,
right.
right?
Yeah. And
Okay.
so that's the first thing we do. We have folks come in, we do a consultation, we do an exam, and we get to know your body and your spine. And then we let you know if you're a good candidate for chiropractic care
Yeah.
because quite honestly, not everyone is going to be. And then when we're doing that, we write a health plan that's unique for each individual. So, your care and my care are going to look completely different
Mhm.
because we're two unique individuals.
Yes. Mm.
Yeah.
So you'd mentioned earlier trying to grow your part of the business
Yes.
and BNI. We're going to get into this here in a few
Hmm.
minutes. So your first interaction with BNI of any sort was what?
Oh man. So this is probably not the glamour story you're looking for, in all honesty. My first actually, in all honesty, I went to BNI because my boss said, "Hey, get your butt out there and go network and go to this BNI chapter."
Yeah.
And this it almost sounds snobby, but when you're a doctor and you go out and you network, you almost instantly have a target on your back. You do. Everybody wants you to sell their supplement. They
Yeah.
want to use you for what they can. In all honesty, it becomes very, I feel like a small fish in a big pond, in all honesty. And everybody wants you to sell their supplement or carry this, medical device they have or this cool thing. And it becomes less about what you do and how you help people and more about how folks want to get their product in front of you, in all honesty. And BNI was totally different. So I went, Mondays are my day off. My patient hours are Tuesday through Saturday. So I was very begrudgingly there at 8:30 a.m. on a Monday morning. But as soon as I walked in, I met Ken, who is in our chapter, and Ken is, you know, I love Ken. We call him our BNI grandpa. He's in his 80s and he's going to greet you at the door with a giant smile no matter who you are. And that's what Ken did for me. He made a difference. He met me as soon as I walked in the door at the Maton with a big smile on his face, and he said, "We're so glad you're here. Let me introduce you to people." And quite honestly, I was like, "What? You're not going to tell me what you sell? You want to introduce me to other
Yeah.
people?" And that's how BNI struck me as different right away. The people there are just so authentic. It's truly about the motto, givers gain. And it's more about how can I help you and what can I do for you and your business instead of me, me, me.
Yeah.
And I
And
love that.
yeah, oh yeah. And Dr. Ashley's chapter is RDO2 Cary Connections. They meet Monday mornings at 8:30 at the Maton Inn in Cary.
Hmm.
And I would imagine the other thing you find out when you go networking and they find out you're a doctor, they go, "Ooh, quick question for you." No,
Yes.
dude, I'm not
Yes.
here.
Uh-huh.
No, I don't.
Right? So, I mean, certainly not to put down any other networking organizations because, we all need to network, and network
Mhm.
again is everybody has to find their thing. But for me, BNI is just it's amazing. The
Yeah.
model that is there and the way that it's built on a network of encouraging one another is, I mean, I
And
love it.
you are new to BNI,
Mhm.
and one of the nice things, I hear a lot when people join BNI is exactly like you said, either I just started my job or just moved here and I didn't know anybody or my boss made me go, but it's funny how that door opens,
Right?
right? And
Yeah.
you walk right in.
So our group is kind of like a family, in all honesty. I remember I've been in BNI about a year. About a year ago, my mom had surgery. So my mom's listening. So hey, mom.
Judy,
But
we'll get to you in just a minute.
right. And so I had been at that point in my chapter, I had been going, I mean, about a month. I really drug my feet. I really, in all honesty, I didn't want to like it. It was on my day off at 8:30 in the morning. But I found that I loved the people
Mhm.
that I met. So I went to join the chapter. I got accepted. Literally the first meeting as a member. So the first time I was supposed to be inducted, I found out a few hours before the meeting my mom was having emergency surgery. So I didn't know anyone to call. So I called our director, Mary Stocks, and I was like, "Hey, Mary, I'm not going to make it. My mom's having surgery." That was that. Like I didn't answer any phone calls, no emails, didn't notify the chapter, like left it at that. And I cannot tell you the amount of calls and emails and everything that I got from people
Mhm.
that I hadn't even really joined their chapter. They'd only met me a few
Yeah.
times that were genuinely concerned. I didn't get back to any of them because my mom had surgery. And days later, second emails come in. "Hey, Ashley, we just want to check and make sure you're okay. Do you need food? Do you need this? How's your mom?" Like all of those things.
Mhm.
And for me, I mean, that sold it. I had this second family that I didn't even know I had yet. So
And that's the other neat thing about being in a
yeah,
BNI chapter is it is more than business
it
because you make
is.
those connections, then you really want to help them grow their
Absolutely.
business
Yeah.
because you see what they do for you when
Absolutely.
you need help from them.
Yeah.
So let's get to your mom. So
Okay.
if you've been watching the weather last week,
Yeah.
Eastern North Carolina, especially the coastline, just got hammered. And that is where you grew up,
It
right?
is, yeah. So I was born in New Bern, raised a good portion of my life in New Bern. That's where my mom still lives. My dad has passed away, but my mom is there still. And then I went to high school and spent a lot of my time also in Morehead City. So I have, two pieces of my heart that are now
Yeah.
underwater.
But your mom did okay,
My
right?
mom,
She's
yeah,
watching right now,
absolutely.
right?
So, hey,
Okay.
mom,
Yeah.
yeah, she did great. My mom has been an awesome supporter. She's got a little viewing party going on in her home today. So
And tell
she's
everybody
so
how your
cute.
mother introduces you to to her
Oh
friends.
man, doctor everywhere. Anywhere we go, hey, this is my daughter, Dr. McGuire, everywhere. So I don't have a name there except for Dr. McGuire.
Which is a great story. We hope
Yeah,
that glad you're doing well, Trudy, and hope
absolutely.
everybody your way is doing well. Our thoughts and prayers are with them because we've been watching the news and everything. We got off. I can say this because I lived 10 years in Florida. We got off light with what we were expected, but the
Absolutely.
people in Eastern North Carolina, and your brother's a first responder,
He
right?
is, yeah. My brother's a first responder. He works for the county and he's been there honestly working around the clock, making sure everybody's okay, making sure, down trees are cleaned up and letting the folks know who needs power. And I mean, and I also want to shout out to all the linemen. I have two cousins that are linemen that are working overtime right now trying to get folks power back on. So thank you to them as well.
So when you got back, once your mom was good and you
Yeah.
came back here, got re-engaged with the BNI chapter,
Hmm.
what were the first couple things that hooked you or that you locked into to realize I can do this? This is going to help me with my business.
Yeah, so the first thing was realizing how productive I was. Like I mentioned, I was very hesitant to give up my precious day off. Monday mornings, like I said, are my day off. And as I started going to the meetings, I discovered that Mondays became a lot more productive. Having my business on my mind on those days, I would leave the meetings and come home and spend time working on my business, and then not even realize that that's what I was doing until later on in the week. I'm like, oh, I got this done on Monday. So that was the first thing I noticed is that not only did I spend more time thinking about my business, I spent a lot of time thinking about my ideal client. As some of you may know, in BNI, you have to give a quick 30 to 60-second presentation about your ideal referral, and that's one of the things that chiropractic really helps everyone with a spine. If you have a spine, you should get it checked. Spinal hygiene is important, but for me, honing in and realizing that um, pregnant moms are where families start, and that's my ideal referral. That's one of the things that BNI did for me. And then it also made me more comfortable talking about my business. I was what we call a patient education intern in chiropractic school. So I had a lot of time talking about chiropractic. I spent a lot of time educating patients on chiropractic. But I really feel like I honed those skills and fine tuned those skills once I got out into the real world and into BNI. Because BNI really exposes you to a lot of different audiences and makes you comfortable talking about your business and asking for business.
And a couple of other things that BNI does in the structure, it's
Mhm.
an hour and 15-minute meeting, but it's
Yep.
structured
Mhm.
for a reason. If you go visit, you'll realize why.
Absolutely.
One of them is it makes people a better public speaker because a
Definitely.
lot of people are very hesitant, even if it's for 30 seconds, just to stand up. But the other thing, it's seat specific. So you're the only chiropractor in your chapter. So when
Absolutely.
you stand up, once you do meeting one-to-ones with everybody
Mhm.
and like, know, and trust is the other big mantra in BNI.
Mhm.
But what I've learned through BNI is when you talk physical and financial,
Mhm.
it's difficult
It
to
is.
make because I'm an easy as a pest control, I'm an easy transaction. Oh,
Right.
I've got a bug in my house. Can you come out?
Mhm.
But physical fitness and financial are very personal,
Mhm.
and people are hesitant to walk up and go, I've been having this problem. So what do you ask for each week when you stand up?
Yeah, so one of the things that BNI has taught me, like I said, chiropractic is for anyone who has a spine. That is a very broad thing. So BNI has taught me to hone that in, and focus on more specific categories. So I started originally when I started BNI, I started saying, okay, I like to see families. So that's where I started. I see whole family chiropractic. We see whole families. But then as I started giving that 60 seconds each week, I then honed into pregnant mamas. And then that's where I stayed for a while. Pregnant moms, pregnant moms, pregnant moms. But through the last couple weeks and couple months, what I've learned, I ask for pregnant mamas, but then I give a couple specifics to say, these are my buzzwords, these are my keywords that remind folks of the things I can help in pregnancy. So malposition babies or breech babies. Um, so babies that are not, in correct position in uterus, that's a trigger word for folks. And then also mamas who are having aches and pains during pregnancy, because let's be honest, pregnancy changes your center of gravity, right? So there's that. And then mamas that want to have shorter, faster labor times. So those are my three keywords that I throw out. And then I also kind of go through the different phases of care. So we talk about pregnant mamas. I talk about infants as infants come out. We help infants with nursing issues, colic, torticollis, things of that nature. But then we also just help infants get started on the right foot of life. Like I said, we focus on the nervous system, which is housed in our spine. And our nervous system controls everything our body does. Everything from walking, talking, digestion, all of that is controlled in the nervous system. That's a pretty important piece of equipment to have starting on the right foot. So that's how we start there. And then sometimes, especially when I do my 10-minute presentation, I just carry folks through the phases. So pregnant mamas, infants, as we start to walk, if we have toddlers, toddlers fall a lot. So
Mhm.
making sure their pelvis is in good alignment is super key as they're learning how to walk and taking tension off those structures, all the way up through athletes. It's football season. I
Yes.
love football. All 32 NFL teams have a chiropractor on
Oh,
staff.
yeah.
So if the NFL thinks chiropractic is important, imagine what it can do for, the average football player.
And a lot of the athletes at that level, if they've got money, they probably have their own, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
A
So like,
nutritionist, trainer,
mhm.
chiropractor, all that
Tom
stuff.
Brady's a huge proponent of
Yeah.
chiropractic. Ben Roethlisberger, a lot of the quarterbacks. Usain Bolt, you were talking about having their own chiropractor. Usain Bolt doesn't run a race without his personal
Yeah.
chiropractor there, so that's pretty cool. Seeing chiropractic in the Olympics, when we just had the Olympics, that was pretty cool as
Yeah.
well. So
One of the neat things in a BNI meeting that we learn about ourselves is we have to educate our fellow members. So I
definitely.
can tell you about pest control. You can mention you're in you do, but we don't really know what we're looking for or those words that
Hmm.
when we get into conversation with people, because until you join the chapter,
Absolutely.
most people in the chapter probably were not listening for anybody with back issues. They're like,
Absolutely.
yeah, my neighbor Bill complains all the time. And that's all they know,
Right.
but they meet you, they get
Hmm.
to know, like, and trust you. Then all of a sudden they can say, Bill, I got the answer to your problem.
Absolutely. So it's very much about not only educating people on what you do, but giving them those key steps to look for how to bring you people. So like I said, I use pregnancy as an example. If you hear, Bill's wife complaining about her baby's not in the right position, or oh man, my low back's really killing me during this pregnancy, or my newborn is having trouble latching. Those types of things are the words and the phrases that I train and work with my chapter members to go to trigger and go, oh hey, your baby's not latching correctly, let me get you to Dr. McGuire. Or, things like with athletes, if, my son plays baseball and
Mm.
his shoulder is bothering him, great, let Dr. McGuire check his shoulder. Those types of things are the examples that I'll give to kind of help my chapter members, think of me.
Because it all goes back to the spine one way or the other,
It
doesn't it?
does. And then we adjust extremities as well. So
Oh,
the
really?
spine the
Okay.
spine is our primary focus. That's where
Mm.
we start because that's where the nervous system sits. We want to make sure that nervous system is functioning properly and has good communication pathways there. But we do also check the extremities. We check knees and shoulders and elbows and all kinds of stuff.
So let's talk about your journey into the chiropractic world. I know
Okay.
when I was reading up on your bio, it was written perfectly, and I probably should print it out so I could read it to everybody, but it was 8 years. And I think you described it perfectly of 8 years of school and studying, and then
Yeah.
felt like, or four, and then four
Yeah,
more. So you went to Sherman College of Chiropractic
I did.
is where you got your degree,
Hmm.
but you were at Methodist for your undergrad,
Yep.
right? Which is
Absolutely.
where you met your husband.
Hmm.
Okay. So you're thinking about this all along,
Hmm.
wanting to get into it.
Hmm.
Was there a plan on having your own shingle, joining an existing practice? How'd you get to whole family chiropractic?
That's kind of a funny story as well. So as I went to chiropractic school, I didn't chiropractic was all new to me, in all honesty. I had been adjusted before, but this idea of helping families was a new thing. So I was fortunate to go to Sherman College of Chiropractic in Spartanburg, South Carolina, where they also focus on family health. So I learned a lot of how to talk to people, really brought everything together in school. But as I got to my last about year, I started thinking about, okay, what am I going to do? Do I want to have my own practice? Do I want to do this? And chiropractic is such a dynamic profession. There are hundreds of thousands of techniques out there. There's so many ways to practice. There's so many things to incorporate. You can have different modalities, or you can, there's a lot you can do. And as I began to think about that, I realized that there was a lot that I didn't know in terms of different techniques and things of that nature. So I started shadowing other doctors, and I spent the last year before I graduated shadowing other doctors. And one weekend, I was coming home to visit my mom in Eastern North Carolina, and I cruised through Cary, and I online I had come across Dr. Bell's website. I liked the mantra of whole family. I liked that they saw whole families and things like that. So I shadowed. I stopped in and I shadowed. And the day I shadowed, I told my husband, I'm going to work there. That is it. And Dr. Bell was actually looking to hire at that point. Um, she wanted to hire someone sooner than I graduated. I was still a year out from graduation. And I told her, well, if in 9 months, if you haven't found anyone, Look at me, right? So I just stayed in her vase for 9 months. And then 9 months later, I was like, hey, so I graduate in 3 months. You still haven't found anyone. Can we talk about this? And that's kind of how I got to be at Whole Family. And it's a great fit.
And even though it's a practice with 3 doctors, are each
Mhm.
of you responsible for growing not only the business in general, but basically your patient?
Yeah. So honestly, we have a really great setup. We're team dynamic, so any patient is allowed to see any doctor at any time. We have a varying set of hours. So I'm the early bird. I start at 7 a.m. And I work on Saturdays as well. And then Dr. Bell and Dr. Sylvester are each there in the evening. So some days we're open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. to accommodate folks. And while we are each responsible for building our patient base, we do function really well as a team. So there's not that competitive atmosphere of, oh, this is my patient and they will only see me.
Yeah.
They're welcome to see whatever doctor, fits their schedule at that time. We have the capability of sharing notes and things of that nature.
When you joined your chapter, which is RDO2, Cary
Mhm.
Connections, meets Monday mornings at 8:30 at Maiden Inn
Yep.
here in Cary.
Mhm.
Did you find some natural referral partners that were already in the chapter?
Yeah. So that was a little bit tough because we were a building chapter. My chapter is new. We just actually we got chartered August 1st. So we are a brand new chapter. And with that was a lot of freedom and a lot of fun, but there were also some challenges of finding that niche referral partner for me. So I'm really lucky in the fact I was one of the first-ish members, if you will. So I got to kind of help build the chapter to what it is today. So while I went into it thinking having some ideal referral partners in mind, I ended up finding some other folks ended up becoming pretty natural referral partners that I wouldn't have expected. So
One of the beauties of BNI
that is the
are
beauty of being
I love the referrals that you didn't see coming.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
it usually goes back to putting the work into explaining to people what you're looking for.
Right. And see, the thing about BNI is that so my unexpected referral partner is our realtor. I never would have started looking, right? I never would have been like, yay, I'm new in practice. I want to gain patients. Let me go educate realtors, right? That just doesn't seem logical. You would go talk to massage therapists and acupuncturists and things of that nature. But as I got into the group, I learned to think outside of the box. So one of the things that B and I taught me is to think outside of the box. And through that, I learned, of course, it makes sense that I would be a referral partner with a realtor. They show folks around all the time that are buying new homes because they're expanding their families, aka pregnant mamas and families.
Or
So,
moving to the area
or moving
and
to the
don't have
area.
one. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it honestly has become a very natural referral partnership there.
And it's one of those, once you look at it, go, makes perfect sense.
It does. It does. But I never would have
No,
thought of that. Like
no.
in chiropractic school, they weren't like, hey, go talk to realtors. So,
So for guys, it's difficult to walk up to a woman and say, I see you're pregnant. Is your baby sitting here?
right.
So what do we listen for without asking those sometimes they could be the wrong questions, and we'll
Oh,
laugh
yeah.
about that later. But anyway,
Slippery slope.
Exactly. So as guys, what are we listening for? Because we're not able to ask questions probably that their female friends
Right.
would ask.
So, well, number one, men have families too. So if your wife's pregnant, say, hey, honey, just so you know, women under chiropractic care tend to have shorter, faster labor times. That's all you need because anybody who's been
Man,
pregnant
that's an
knows
icebreaker, isn't it?
that is
Yeah.
what I want. But really, for guys, it's just more of noticing, if a woman is really struggling with pregnancy, if you see her moaning and groaning, if she's complaining to you about pregnancy, as women will sometimes do, just say, hey, I know somebody that can help you with that. But honestly, obviously not to stereotype, but most of my athletes come from men.
Yeah.
hmm
But we better know that lady
You
real
better
well.
know, right? You better know, ladies. You got to be careful with that.
We've all done that.
hmm
Okay, you mentioned a couple times chiropractic can speed up delivery.
hmm
Tell us how.
Okay. So one of the ways is ideal baby positioning. So without getting into too much detail for you, since I'll spare you since you're a man, but our I know
Not that I couldn't understand it, just not going to happen to me.
not to go TMI.
We'll
on
go
you.
with that. Yeah.
But in a very simplistic way, the bones of the pelvis control the exit of baby. In all honesty, that pelvic bowl, our three major bones in the pelvis come together to form a circle. So somewhat like this. And as baby's exiting, we want the optimum max amount of space in that pelvis that we can possibly have. So that's one of the easiest ways to kind of explain it is the three bones of the pelvis form a circle that allows baby to escape. as we, things shift and move and separate in pregnancy and birth and all that good jazz, we want that to be as wide open and broad as it can be, so baby has a good, nice space to exit. We also relax the nerves and the, tendons or the ligaments and things in the pelvis, so that way that labor can progress a little bit quicker. Yeah.
That's got to be
Yeah.
has to be when women hear that and they're 10% open minded. That's got to be an
Right.
instant conversation.
So
with
we get
you.
a lot of mamas that are like, "Ugh, just help me," and that's my favorite.
But you've been there, so you know.
Been there, done
Yeah,
that. Yeah. So that, like I said, that's one of the things that really inspired me. I have a spinal condition. It's, I won't explain too much of it, but it's called a spondylolisthesis, which gives me almost constant back pain. I'd had no relief from that. Like, I've actually discovered it my freshman year in college, because I had back pain and I was 18 years old, and you shouldn't have back pain at 18 years old. And so when I was pregnant, pulling that center of gravity forward, my back pain was awful, awful, awful. And that's one of the reasons I was very skeptical about chiropractic. Like I said, I had had a bad experience. I mean, I was pregnant, I was vulnerable. I wasn't open to trying chiropractic, but my back pain got so bad that eventually I gave in and I tried it. And then literally it saved my pregnancy. Like, I was very early on having back pain, and the chiropractor that I saw was able to really, really, really get me through pregnancy by easing that back pain.
Was your back pain tied to being a cheerleader?
It was before that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I learned that more than likely mine was a genetic thing that I'd had since birth, but I was an athlete, so I was in really good shape. So it didn't really express itself I mean, until college, when I was also a softball player. So I had played softball and volleyball my whole life. I was a catcher. There was a lot of compression on that
good.
area.
Yeah, no problems
Right?
there, right?
No problems there.
Sure.
And actually, I use knee savers. I mean, I caught competitively like a lot. I almost went Division 1, until I decided I wanted to go to a smaller school. So softball was really my favorite. That was my heart and soul. I did it all the time. And I had to use knee savers, which is unheard of. You're in shape. You're not supposed to use knee savers. Like, good catchers don't use knee savers, all this, that, and the other. And I learned it was because of my spinal condition that I actually had to use knee savers, because it took some of the pressure off my back. So that was kind of a fun fact that I learned when I got to chiropractic school. I was able to tie that all together. So
again, it goes back to most everything's tied to something somewhere
it
in the back,
is, yeah.
right?
And so that's actually one of the reasons I love caring for athletes, because if I'd had the care that I now know and give out all the way through my playing career, not only would I have been able to prevent injuries a little bit better, but I would have, maybe been able to push my body a little bit harder.
And you would have gone to Florida State on scholarship and never met your husband. So,
Right, I know,
things work
right.
out, don't they?
I know, everything works
A little
out.
bit of pain. Just tell your husband, I took a
Right.
little pain for you.
Took a little
So,
pain.
can you
See,
make dinner tonight?
So I left this part out about the cheesy story. Both my husband and I had opportunities to go play Division 1 sports. He was going to go to LSU to play football. I was going to go Division 1 to UNC to play softball, and that was our thing. And we both chose a smaller school. And then, yeah, we met each other.
Door open.
So
again,
much.
right?
I know. It's like a Hallmark story. It really is.
We could go another hour
We
on that.
could, we
Should
could.
make a movie on that.
I
Yeah,
know, it's cheesy. I warned you when we started this. I love my husband and my family.
Again, the information on the screen here, how you can get in touch with folks at Triangle BNI. Do Triangle BNI at nissancommunications.com, 919-465-1667. We just encourage you to go visit a chapter.
Absolutely.
You can go to trianglebni.com. There's a box there that says find a chapter, do the drop downs. You can pick the city, the time of day, the location, anything like that. Click on the chapter, find out who's in there, see if there's a natural referral partner for you. Send an email, give a call to Steve, Mary, and Brenda in the office, and they'll help you a bunch. Again, going back to BNI mantras, givers gain, but also like, know, and trust. And one of the best ways to do that is to have a one-to-one, meet in the office, have coffee somewhere, have lunch somewhere. But that's really how you get to know the people in your chapter, isn't it?
See, I always said go to their place of business.
Yeah.
So, like I said, one of the stereotypes I fight is chiropractic is very medical. So people, when I say that I see children and families, they envision this medical setting, and how does that work? So when you come to my office and you see my wall of, coloring pages from patients and my, buckets of toys and all of that, it kind of helps ease your mind and see where I'm coming from. So that's been a tip that I've learned through Steve and Mary. They taught me it's easy to meet at a coffee shop. You can chat with one another, but go to their place of business. See what they do if you can. I know that's not always possible, but go see where they're coming from. I think that helps you understand them a
And then
little
you
bit.
see pictures on the wall, family,
Yeah,
stories, background, all that,
absolutely.
and it helps you even more to
It does.
understand
It
that.
helps you truly understand, how you can help them and how you can give them business.
In,
Mhm.
45 or 60 seconds when you stand up to give your elevator pitch in a meeting, they can learn a little bit about what you do, but till you get to the
Yeah.
one-to-one, then they can ask better questions, or
Yeah.
you can spend 45 minutes or an hour now
Yeah.
explaining, "Here's why I'm looking for
Mhm.
who I'm looking for."
Yeah, and it's a little bit more of a comfortable setting. So some folks are really afraid of public speaking. So standing in front of their peers talking for 60 seconds can be really
Mhm.
intimidating. So doing that one-on-one really gives you an opportunity to see more of who they are in a little bit more of a relaxed environment.
And who did you learn that you could give referrals to just based on getting to know them through a one-to-one?
Yeah. Wow. Let's see. Quite honestly, I keep going back to the realtor, but again, the realtor, which again
Who's your
isn't something.
realtor?
Our realtor is Tally Griffith with Next Home in the Triangle, and she's amazing. She's kind of like me, new in business, but she is hungry, and I love her spirit and her just. She's a go getter, and I love it. But an unlikely referral partner.
Mhm.
Like I said, I wouldn't have had a realtor like that. Wouldn't have been my first thought. But I realized that I come across same kind of as I've already explained, she comes across a lot of people in transition. Um, I do as well. So when families come in and, they tell me they're pregnant or, mom's like, hey, this is our new thing. Hey, do you have a realtor? Let me let you know about Tally.
Mhm.
So as your family grows, I can pass that along. And then that in turn also goes to the mortgage lender and also our, real estate attorney
Mhm.
and all of that stuff as
Insurance,
well.
yeah, all that
Yeah.
stuff. So, do you remember your first referral from outside the chapter, but through the chapter?
Yeah. So this is a funny story as well. I have a lot of funny BNI stories,
That's why
but
you're here, Ashley.
so my first, Joanne Stoddard, I love you. She's actually now in our chapter, but at this time she wasn't. Like I said, our chapter was new, and we were building. We were interviewing a lot of realtors and a lot of lenders and things of that nature. And so you're setting up. I'm on the membership committee, so that at that time I was so new in the chapter that wasn't my job. But you do one-on-ones with everybody who comes through, in all honesty, because visitors bring a lot of business. So I had a one-on-one set up at a Starbucks with Joanne, and I come in and she's sitting in the corner, and I can just tell right away something's off. And I'm like, Joanne, what's the matter? And she really didn't want to say. She's all mum about it. And then come to find out, she ends up sharing with me that she's pregnant. At this point, she tells me that I know, her husband knows, and that's it. So she ended up, we ended up building that relationship. She's now in our chapter as it, things change. And so I think it was about 6 months later, things changed, the door opened up, and now she's in our chapter. But she was my first referral from outside the chapter, and it was a really cool, just really intimate moment. So
And a lot of times people put pressure on themselves thinking, "My God, have to give a referral to everybody each week,"
right.
where a lot of these, like yours with Joanne, just happen
They
organically.
do. That's the thing about BNI is when you really care about building relationships with
Mhm.
people, like true relationships, and less about, how can you help me? How can you
Yeah.
help me? Things just happen. So many of my peers in BNI have sponsored my events. So I've sponsored their events. We've worked together on, I mean, health talks and like Cole McLaughlin, our financial advisor with Edward Jones. We were able, a financial advisor and a chiropractor, that sounds like a really odd combination. We were able to do a health talk together called Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise, where we talked about financial
Very
health
good.
and spinal health all in one. And then we had another third person talk about, other aspects of
Mhm.
stress management and stuff. But
But again, those relationships form
yeah,
through BNI just like that.
absolutely. Yeah. And then my super cool, I'm gonna jump ahead of you, but my really cool BNI story is actually my favorite BNI memory is buying a house. So when I told you we were kind of new to the area, our lease was coming up, and there are a million realtors out there. There are a million lenders. That seat is so full of how do I find a good one? How do I find a good one? What do I do? And BNI had already vetted our realtor and lender for us, which I think is really cool. As they I know that they're good ethical people because I know the process behind, getting in a chapter, calling resources, checking up on folks, all of that stuff. I was able to go into that relationship with trust because
Mhm.
BNI had already done that for
Yeah.
me. So we bought our house through BNI.
Since you joined, and granted it's been about a year,
Mhm.
I do some math there.
Mhm.
Is there a percentage number you can put on the growth of your business
Mhm.
that's been tied to you being a part of BNI chapter?
Oh, man. Uh, to put a percentage on it would be tough, but I mean, exponentially,
Has it doubled?
uh, for sure.
Okay.
Just because not only direct business from members and visitors, but you have that tree of referrals
Mhm.
coming in. So as, you get a referral from another member, they are happy and satisfied, they bring their friends
Mhm.
in, and then they're happy and satisfied and they bring their friends in. So it's grown exponentially. And then the partnerships, in all honesty, you just build partnerships with people for life. So you do events and things that you didn't even know you would, just because you love the person that you're doing it with,
Mhm.
you know? And then I talk about my other 2 doctors in practice. Dr. Bell did BNI when she was starting her practice almost 20 years ago, and we still have patients in the practice that were in her BNI group
Oh, wow.
20 years ago,
Yeah.
almost.
Again, if you are looking to start a business, grow a business, we can tell you there's no better place to come at least visit than a BNI chapter anywhere, whether you're in the Triangle or not. Because we bring you these stories each week, and to a person, they tell you that their business has grown a
Yeah,
third to a half to three quarters
absolutely.
just through BNI.
Mhm. And visit a chapter. You keep saying that.
Yes.
That is so, so important. So kind of like I've shared that I had a bad experience with chiropractic before I then found a good one. That's how BNI chapters are. Every chapter is unique. Every chapter is not the same. So visit a chapter, find one that fits with you. So each chapter is going to, have those same core BNI values, but the folks in them are going to make it a little different. So visit one, visit another until you find one that really resonates and hits home for you.
Are you with your schedule, are you able to visit? I know you and I ran into each
We
other
did.
about a month or
Yeah.
so ago because you had a client cancel,
I
I think.
did.
Are you
So
able to visit much?
my schedule's tough because I do see patients
Mhm.
Tuesday through Saturday, so I don't have a lot of open time to visit BNIs. But I make sure that when I have a cancellation or when I have something come up, that I do visit other
Mhm.
chapters. So I visited a handful of other chapters. And then when I was deciding to join my chapter, I did take the time. I just went ahead and took off and I did visit other chapters as well, just to see what it was all about, to see how does this BNI thing work. You hear of so many success stories,
Mhm.
but are they fluff? Are they just do you just hear about it so,
Yeah.
you can get your money? But it truly, as I did that, I really learned that people really do have success stories with BNI and people because it's less about making money and more about building connections. So
Mhm.
as you build those connections, money comes organically, like you talked about.
It
As
does, yeah.
people learn to trust you and they learn, who you are as a person, they bring a ton of business.
And in your industry, you can really make a difference in somebody's life. So
Yeah,
when you do that to one person and they just walk out, they're singing at the top of their lungs, you've
absolutely.
got to go see
Yeah.
Dr. Ashley.
That's what it's about for
Yeah.
me. It's about ever since I was a child, it was about helping people, making a difference, empowering people, and that's what it's all about for me. That's what fuels me, that's what motivates me. I mean, I have 8 years of school, 5 national board exams, a state board exam, a lot of debt just to help people, and
Yeah.
that is what I wanna do.
So when was your in the chiropractic world, when was your aha moment that you knew, I think I could do
I think I
this?
can do this. Well, like I said, you really there's no turning back after the amount of school that I have. That's it. But for me, I really have two pivotal moments. One was in school. I had been in school just a couple months, about a year, when my dad passed away. I was really close with my dad. It was really devastating to me. I was down. I was sad. I didn't want to go to school. I didn't have much of an opportunity to take time off from school because chiropractic school is full time. So I kind of let my grades slip. It was not the highlight of my life, if you will. And I have an awesome supportive husband and a mom that kicked me in the butt and said, "Go do it." So for me, that was a huge moment. I realized that it's not about me, it's about the families that I'm going to be helping. I need to get my butt in gear and do what I'm going to do so I can take care of those families. So I finished out my last 3 years of school with like a 3.9, a GPA after that. Like once I got it in gear, it was go, go, go. And I immersed myself in that culture of helping other people, even people, because one of the things that makes our practice unique is we're a closed door practice. So you come in the practice. Some practices will have open adjusting out in the rooms. Like just you walk in the practice, everyone's kind of hanging around, adjusting is happening, open style. Our practice is a closed door practice. So patients come to us, they come in our practice, in our door, and we close the door. And you'd be amazed how many emotional stories I hear, how much healing is taking place behind that door. So that experience really helps me be able to relate to those folks emotionally, because healing, there's definitely an emotional aspect of healing.
Yes.
So that was a pivotal moment. The second was out of school. I'd been out of school and in practice about 6 months when I met a little boy who at that time was 9 years old, and he had a debilitating disorder called encoparesis that really debilitated his whole life. I mean, at 9, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, he couldn't control his bowels and bladder. And that was awful for him. At 9 years old, the social toll, the emotional toll, all of that was absolutely humiliating. His family had tried everything. I mean, everything. And that's how we are as chiropractors. We're a lot of times last resort doctors for people that have tried everything else and they don't know what to do. And through, I would like to say it happened right away, but through months and months of care, he is now normal, like healthy, full control of things. And that was through chiropractic care, helping his diet, increasing his water, things of that nature. And that's not a traditional story. People think of us as back pain doctors, headache doctors. Yeah. That's what happens when you release the full potential of the nervous system and let the body innately take care of itself. And that story really hit me. And I was like, okay, I'm in the right profession. This is what I need to do. So,
and that's what you spend most of your time doing. The marketing and networking part of it was new.
As it was. Mentioned. Yep.
I would imagine in chiropractic school, there probably wasn't a class on marketing, right? Your
none.
Business.
Yeah. So you kind of learn on the fly in chiropractic school. We spend so much of our efforts learning about chiropractic and how to be, I mean, we're working with your spine. So that's number one focus of our education is being educated on the spine. But also we're educated on so many other facets of science and health and microbiology and chemistry and all of those things that marketing really isn't, that's not top of the class. We're learning about a lot of science. So that was new for me, in all honesty, when I got out, but BNI helped.
There you go. And you're a better public speaker for it, right?
Yes, definitely. I think I'm a much better public speaker. And I think I just feel more comfortable asking for business.
Yeah.
That is an awkward thing to ask for is, hey, give me your business. That can be really uncomfortable. And BNI has really taught me to go about that in a tasteful way.
And sometimes it can be as easy as, if I can ever help you, I know you're struggling with your back. If I can help you,
right.
Would love to chat with you some more.
That's the biggest thing. Yeah. Is just, how can I help you? And that's when I do my one-on-ones, when I do my 60 seconds, it's, hey, here's who I'm looking for, but how can I help you? Yeah. And that's the easiest way. When people are happy, if you think about, business in general, when folks ask for recommendations, you go with who you're happy with. If you have a good experience, that person comes to the top of your mind. So even if someone hasn't had a chiropractic experience with me, if I can leave them feeling happier and better than they were before they met me, then I will still, come to the top of their mind.
So this is middle of September,
yep.
2018. So looking ahead to December 2019, where do you want to see your portion of the business be? And how are you going to use BNI to help grow that? Yeah.
So I want to fill my schedule. I want to help as many families as I can. And right now I still have room to grow and do that. And that's really where BNI comes into play is not only getting me in front of other people, but really letting people know that I'm different in what I do. And BNI has already begun to do that. Apart from the business aspect, we work a lot with athletes. So my BNI partners have connected me with other schools. And now my practice has a relationship with 3 local area schools and their athletes. So
very good.
I want to fill my schedule with pregnant mamas and athletes and kids and help empower families.
If you've got a business to start or a business to grow, we recommend you go to trianglebni.com. Come visit one of our chapters. You'll meet people like Dr. Ashley McGuire with Whole Family Chiropractic that will help you grow your business, and you can hear their stories about how they grew their business. And each week we bring you one of these stories, and we look forward to seeing you next week on Triangle BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and deltaforce.net.